Good afternoon, everybody. A penultimate session in Conference Room A. I'm delighted to introduce Monica, who will be leading the Hybrid Connex Digital Ambulance of the Future project.
Thank you, Chris. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this informal panel session where we're going to talk to you about the Hybrid Connex programme, the ESA-funded Hybrid Connex programme. And get the technology right. So, my name's Monica Franz. I am a programme manager at Arden and Gem CSU, which is an NHS organisation. And AGEM are experts in digital transformation. We've most recently been involved in the Digital Exemplar programme, which hopefully you will all have heard about. And our part here in this programme with Hybrid Connex is to support our NHS colleagues to work with the Hybrid Connex organisation and to help shape, develop the project and to be the voice of the user. So we're really pleased to be part of this and working with our colleagues. So I'd really like to introduce the panel to you, and starting off with John.
Yeah, my name is John Beasy. I'm Head of Health, Wellbeing and Emergency Services at an organisation called the Satellite Applications Catapult. So we're a not-for-profit organisation focused on research technology and capabilities. So we're supporting some of the development side of this and working with Monica and team looking at how do we bring the users along on that journey. So that's what we're really keen on finding out today and throughout this project.
Hi, I'm Nicola Savage and I'm the Group Marketing Director for a company called Accelerate Technology. We specialise in connectivity-based solutions and currently work with 100% of the UK ambulance services and the majority of the emergency services throughout the UK. We also support many global organisations in healthcare. So we are bringing our connectivity and systems integration expertise into this project and really looking forward to it.
Hi everyone, I'm Simon Hill. I'm the Chief Technical Officer at Accelerate with Nicola. So Nicola's done a great job of explaining all about Accelerate, but my role really is to try and translate customer problems into solutions and at the end of it get something that's really useful and valuable.
Hi there, my name's Tristan Wood. I'm the CTO at a company called Livewire Digital. We provide software that provides hybrid connectivity, which is sort of the bedrocks of what Hybrid Connex provides.
Thank you very much, panel. So now what I'd like to do is play a short video for you, which will explain what the Hybrid Connex project and programme is all about.
The Hybrid Connex Digital Ambulance of the Future project is a joint NHS and commercial technology partnership co-funded by the European Space Agency that will provide the NHS ambulance sector with a fast, resilient connectivity solution, combining 4G, 5G and satellite connections, meaning that the crew on board the vehicle will never be offline. A connected ambulance will enable crews to provide a whole range of new, on-the-spot services, such as diagnostic procedures, diagnostic imaging, tests and telemedicine without taking them to emergency departments. Paramedics will be able to access medical records remotely, as well as call on the support of specialists en route to hospitals. The connected ambulance also supports the deployment of new technology in the field, such as healthcare Internet of Things sensors, with sensor data being transmitted to healthcare facilities in real time. The Hybrid Connex project is a €5.7 million initiative co-funded by the European Space Agency to create the first prototype ambulance with next-generation communications technology.
An ambulance has a range of equipment on board, with each piece requiring a network connection. The conventional approach is to insert SIM cards and set up routers for each piece of equipment, quickly leading to complex networking setups. Testing and maintaining working systems becomes a large, complex task, with skilled engineers required on site regularly. Each individual piece of equipment has a single network connection, meaning as the vehicle travels into different coverage areas, equipment will likely be connected to a slow or expensive service, and in some areas have no connection at all. With a growing number of SIM cards in each ambulance, a substantial amount of time is required to manage billing for all the different services and providers, all with potentially separate account handling and data charges. And this is just for the management of one ambulance. With a fleet of thousands, the issues increase exponentially. The traditional approach means poor communications, complex billing, costly maintenance, costly management, and inefficient use of assets, all leading to sky-high costs. By using a connected ambulance, the NHS can unify and simplify communications, with new technologies providing a single gateway to deliver accelerated, bonded, hybrid communications. Management can now be provided with a portal. From here, they can view statistics from any vehicle in the fleet and control hybrid communications, setting parameters for data prioritization, bonding, security, and so on. These policies can then be rolled out across the whole fleet, making it easy to balance commercial considerations with network performance. Extensive and automated tests can now be run remotely, along with remote software upgrades and version management, significantly reducing the need for on-site engineers. The user can see detailed analytics, with data of the services used, their performance and associated costs, all available for the fleet as a whole and down to individual device level. Billing is now all centralised and handled from within the portal, making dealing with multiple providers and any number of users a simple task. Based on their chosen parameters, networks are now selected and bonded automatically, with the correct networks for any situation being used at all times.
As you can see, the new technologies the Hybrid Connex project utilises mean significant improvements to ways of working, costs, and primarily patient care. We are now engaging widely to get a better understanding of what applications should be incorporated into the prototype solution, to ensure we create an end product that will genuinely benefit patients and relieve pressure on the NHS. So please register to get involved at www.hybridconnex.co.uk. The project is led by Emergency Services Connectivity Specialists Accelerate Technology, alongside NHS Arden and GEM, Vodafone, Satellite Applications Catapult, and Livewire Digital.
Right, so I hope you found that useful. What I'd like to do now is ask questions to the panel, and there will be an opportunity for you as the audience to ask questions at the end. So please do raise your hands, and there'll be somebody with a roving mic to help you do that. I'd like to draw your attention to the hashtag BAPCOHC if you'd prefer to tweet your questions, and I hope that I can refresh my phone and see if there are any questions there that come up. I'd also like to draw your attention to the Hybrid Connex webpage, and if you're interested in this project and want to ask more questions and get involved, please do go to that to register your interest. So, first question to John. So John, what do you see the opportunity and need for this project in terms of collaboration?
So I think it's fundamental. I think we're looking at an opportunity where there's great expertise in and around, teams here from BAPCO, from those working across ambulances already, but there's also great expertise outside of that, and that's what we're trying to bring and make sure that we're providing a space where those teams can coexist and co-develop some of these solutions, because we know what the technology can do. We want to push the technology further and see where it can go beyond. But what we really need to understand is, from a user perspective, what are the priority areas that they want to see? So how do we make the most of interworking between an ambulance service and a trust? Or when we're looking at, well, how does this apply, to Accelerate's point, how does this apply internationally? How does this apply beyond ambulances? For me, it's fundamental that we do that in a collaboration. I'm really grateful to the European Space Agency that they can help us afford that function. And I guess it'd be great if we can make the most of that opportunity.
Absolutely. Collaboration is key. And Nicola, with your connectivity expertise, would you like to share some examples or anecdotes of what's brought you to this place of recognising the importance of collaborating with healthcare professionals and clinicians? Thank you.
Sure. I think Simon described himself as solving problems earlier, and I think that's a really good example of what we're here to do, and that is solve a problem. So we are fairly agnostic around connectivity, what type of connectivity, how do you integrate that into a solution? And we solve those problems by working with end users and understanding what your challenge is. We are not a paramedic, we are not a clinician, we are not a fire officer, actually, and a police officer, who is the other kind of examples that we work with. But what we do have together is expertise around technology, not just what's available now, but what is also coming, within the future. And we've got access to a much, much bigger network and consortium than you see with on this panel today. So in the kind of guise of the ambulance side and the healthcare side, we are already today seeing some fairly significant shifts and changes within digital transformation and the requirements for digital transformation, the need for real-time data. How do you share that? Who do you share that with? And how can that support the patient fundamentally? So we believe on all of this panel and in various use cases are working already with trusts or with hospitals and clinicians on specific use cases and delivering technology solutions that fundamentally provide a reliable connection so that they can maintain a reliable, line or method of comms for data, video, voice, whatever it might be, and receive information so that they can care for a patient in real time. And in some cases, that's in a very mobile environment. It's in, intensive, patient transport of intensive care patients. It's in see and treat use cases that we see going on. So in London right now, we have vehicles and clinicians and specialists who are having to, see and treat vulnerable patients there and then. And if they don't, those patients, they move and that causes concern. So the more real time we can make it, the more effective that care becomes. And notwithstanding the complexities around integrated care pathways which have come in to fruition, and I think we all see the benefit of that, but it is complex. And when you speak to the different people within those pathways themselves, they all have their different needs. And from an operational perspective, what a clinician wants to a fleet person, to how you stock these vehicles, how you make them more efficient going forward. They are all the key things that we need to understand so that we can develop that into a product or solution or a proposition going forward, rather than say, hello, here's the technology and we're going to throw it on you and you're going to love it or lump it kind of thing. So I think this project is a really good example, and we certainly are in that kind of phase where we are keen for people to get involved, to engage, because it is your opportunity to share with us your challenges, your problems, your area of expertise. What is it? You might not know what the solution is. Can we help you solve it? But equally, if you've got an idea of things you might want to use, it's an opportunity to bring it to the forefront within this programme going forward too.
Thank you, Nicola. So collaboration really key for us, and listening to that clinical voice and that input. Tristan, you are Livewire, a representative of Livewire. Can you tell me what are the strengths of Livewire and how important it is to this consortium? And for you, what's the benefits of working alongside other private and public sector organisations?
Okay, thank you. Well, Livewire's been around for about 30 years, and our main focus has been providing communications in very extreme environments, from war zones to the Southern Oceans. And so our expertise is making best use of whatever communications platform, whatever communications protocols are available in those locations. And we have technology which can effectively extend the way that the usable sort of geography that a cellular service can serve, in the sense that we can extend the range by virtue of the way we manage the capacity that's there. And so what we're bringing to this Hybrid Connex consortium is this technology that is, if you like, isolated in a sort of technology space, and pushing it towards a space where it can be delivered to end users in the emergency services market. So it's very important for us to have a group of people who can understand the technology, see how it fits, and position it in a place where they can not only provide it as a piece of equipment, but support it and manage the service going forward.
Thank you, Tristan. So, Simon, I'd like to ask you about Hybrid Connex. Where do you see this leading? Will this be just for ambulances? Will it just be for ambulances in the UK? What are the possibilities of Hybrid Connex?
Thank you. So I think it's really important to stress at this stage that this is a research and development program, and we're really looking to engage with the UK ambulance sector to see how we can develop this to fit the future needs of ambulance connectivity. But actually, our ideas are based around ubiquitous connectivity for whatever the requirement is. And actually, if you look across, police, fire, ambulance, other government type agencies, but even utilities and things like that. These days in life, we all get very frustrated when we can't use our phone because there's no signal, or you've got signal but it's not loading your page. Whether that's viewing the football results or trying to upload a photo to Facebook or whatever it is, we all expect it to work when you pick up your device. And whilst it's annoying if I can't see the football results, it's not the end of the world. But when we start to move to a world where connectivity is so important to be able to achieve the tasks of the future, and when you start to look at the opportunities through telemedicine, for example, you look at what's happened over the last couple of years, through lockdown, we've all come round to the idea, sometimes willingly, sometimes not, of having remote GPs appointments to protect us from catching disease or to reducing the stress or whatever it might be. And you can only do that with connectivity. And so if you start to map out what the future looks like, for example, in the ambulance service, if telemedicine is important to help diagnose a type of stroke in the field, you can't hope that you're going to get connectivity. You need to know you're going to get connectivity, and it needs to be simple, stupid to use. And our approach to that, as it always has been, but our approach within this project is to have a completely agnostic view on what those connectivity pieces are, because we believe that as you move around the country, let alone around the world, the different pieces of technology will be fit for purpose for that area. If you're in an urban area, a variety of cellular providers might be the answer. But if you're in a rural environment, adding satellite into the mix may well be be the choice. But by taking that agnostic approach and by actually saying, look, let's pull all this together in a single pane of glass with hook-ins to finance and fleet and the security aspects and working with ESN and looking to have connectivity back into the health and social care network. That's a massive part of what we do, but actually that can then be mapped across to police or fire or ambulance, and it certainly can be mapped across into other territories where the same problems exist.
Thank you, Simon. So, audience, would anybody like to ask a question to the panel? We have roaming mics if anybody would like to raise their hand and ask a question. Is there anybody out there that's interested in being part of this exciting programme and would like to help shape and develop it at this early stage?
I guess, Simon, just building on what you were saying, I think you're right. I think it is about how do we, as organisations, but also with partners, both public and private, investigate some of those things, rather than just assume here's the product that we're developing or here's the product we're selling. How do we investigate together? So you mentioned, obviously, we could look at it from a particular care pathway where you look at stroke and you hear what Visionable were talking about yesterday about their work there, and they could be a potential team that we could engage with. And I know that you guys have spoken with them. But I think for us, it's about how do we engage it as a community, conscious of the challenges that ambulance community are already facing in terms of stresses on their time. How do we do that in a way that is sensible to say, we know that there are some options that we need to understand as technology organizations, but also ambulance, there might be benefits in public servants understanding as well. And I guess that's the balance. For me, that's the balance of where I want to see this research go, I guess.
Yeah, I think that as time moves on, as ARP comes into line and data becomes available on ambulance, and you start to build those application use cases, and actually, if we fast forward towards the end of this project, hopefully we're looking at the next generation to further increase the capabilities. But it's absolutely about trying to understand. We got lots of different little projects within the NHS, which is pulling on some of these bits. So, the find and treat the tuberculosis screening vehicle in London, they're working with patients that don't have addresses. So to take an X-ray, to go back to have it looked at, and then go back and try and find them again to treat them is tricky. Whereas actually, if you can get that remote diagnosis done on the spot, you can make that diagnosis with that person still there. So that's a great example of where having that connectivity can help solve a problem. There must be thousands of other examples within the NHS where that kind of technology can help. And sometimes it might not be being used because the guarantee connectivity is not there, or that it's not been talked about yet or thought about. So really, this is an opportunity for us and for everybody, in the wider community to actually, throw some ideas on the table and develop the solution that is that future generation, that next generation of connectivity that it really is an enabler.
A question from the audience.
Yeah. I confess, first of all, to having an interest in this because I work with the Association of Ambulance Chief Executives, and I know a bit about Hybrid Connex. I thought it might be useful, just one of the questions that people will likely ask is, how does it link in with the new emergency services network, particularly in this case, the ambulance radio program and the police and fire equivalents? I think it might be quite interesting for the audience to know that one.
Yeah, I'm happy to go. So I think part of the reason that we were grateful for Chris introducing Monica was because we want to make sure it's as closely aligned as possible. I think it would be a real shame if we're saying this is where we think the technology will go, and it doesn't fit in with the roadmap of any of those programs, whether from the ambulance radio program, whether from the work of ESN or from police and fire. I think it would be a waste of our money, it'd be a waste of our investment and the European Space Agency's money as well, for us to challenge any of those assumptions or say we're going in a completely different way that's not compatible, doesn't interoperate. So that's why we're keen for it to be not an isolated project, which it quite easily could be, and could just be as Nicola said, it could be a technology push and just forcing an issue where the things don't comply. And actually part of the reason for being here, and part of the reason that Monica and team are spending so much time trying to engage users, is to say, how do we make sure it doesn't it doesn't cut across those programs, but actually potentially advances those conversations and allows people to ask those questions. I don't know if others wanted to add.
No, I absolutely. Clearly, anything to do with the emergency services going forward, ESN should be an integral part of that. That doesn't mean that there shouldn't be the option for other bearers to be available to that end user, and similarly with ARP. I think it's a fantastic direction that the ambulance services are heading in, raising the game for the connectivity. What we're trying to do is look to the future and look at what's next, as opposed to having any kind of lull in the future and solve any problems that might arise.
I was about to say, I'll put my different hat on now from the ambulance radio program perspective. I think it's really key, and just coming back to Simon, make it clear, it is a research and development project. We are in the midst of rolling out new vehicle hardware. It's in pilot at the moment, and that does give us the connectivity, the wireless connectivity, Wi-Fi connectivity in the vehicle as well. So it's helping inform the next generation in the kit. It's also key, there's other couple of observations, it's just to reassure the audience a little bit as well. It is historically an ambulance, we pick people off as users who think this is a great project, but they're not interlinked into the roadmap of where everything else is going. So the relationship is really quite key from my side. I'm sat next to a colleague from SCAS as well, who's also involved. He's smiling. It's just making sure everyone who's working on the current technology is aware and informs the next generation.
Yeah.
I think the biggest challenge, and myself and Jason were just saying, is probably not the ambulance service as such. It's what we connect into wider health.
Yeah.
Because again, ambulance trusts are great big organisations with multiple acute trusts, different pathways, and having worked in trust, I wish one size fits all, but it doesn't. And I'm sure Carl will agree on that one as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting point about how the data connects, because one of the things we're keen on as a program and as a project is making sure that we can show what could happen from a technology point of view. But actually, you're absolutely right, Chris. The challenge is more, how do the organisations come together? And you look at some of the examples that Monica, you and team have done about bringing those teams together, whether that's under an ICS umbrella or it's in different engagements. I guess that's part of your challenge, presumably.
Yes. So we're really excited to be part of this programme and working as an NHS organisation with yourselves and being there to represent the NHS and make sure that the NHS voice and the user voice is heard. As I said, we worked on the digital exemplar programme, so we know how challenging it can be. Those trusts given a substantial amount of money, but then given technology that is, here you are, here's a finished product, make this fit. This is not what this programme is all about. So it's really important to work with you, to collaborate and to hear what it is that your needs are, to look across the NHS landscape, not just the ambulance, but also the acutes and the primary care trust, the GP practices. This is a great opportunity for us to support. We are all patients, to provide a tool that will enable our ambulance trusts, possibly our community services as well, hopefully with expansion, to be able to deal and see and treat patients in the community, give them the right service at the right time, send them to the right and the most appropriate service, so that to streamline that very challenged NHS service. So we're really excited to be involved in this, and we're really keen to work with you as NHS organisations to make sure that voice is heard and that user product is really suitable for everybody.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting is you could treat this research as purely just let's imagine the scenario that there's only one user that you need to worry about, and you only need to worry about the crew that's in the ambulance, or you only need to worry about the IT team that support that fleet. But actually, you take some of the principles that the user-centered design approach from government and from the NHS, like Matt Adgar and others, focus on, and quickly you realise that this problem is there are multiple users that you need to support and engage with. It's not just the paramedic that's dealing with the patient. It's not just the patient that was receiving the treatment. There's a whole wealth of users that really should have a voice here. And what we're trying to do from a research point of view is get as many of those different perspectives as possible. And it's great that we've got Arden and Jem as part of that, because they bring some of that experience from previous projects. But we need people in the live project to also bring that. And that's why we're grateful for Chris and for Jason to be involved. But we need more than just you two. It's an awkward thing to say on stage and for it to be mic'd up. So please, someone else carry on before I get into more trouble.
No, but I think just the nice thing is we this isn't new. And I think, when we look at who we all work with, actually, collectively, there are already some really good examples throughout the UK and overseas, when you look at some of the global stuff that we do as well. Whereas if you term it under the umbrella of telemedicine, there are challenges there. And these pockets of teams and use cases, which are not just about the kind of the crew on board and the paramedic on board. It involves a clinician. It involves some cases the trust side of things. This is a big exercise to go through to make it perfect in the future, right? Any kind of project is. But I think if we take this from a research and development project, which it is, and we start to get the right people who can engage at a use case level. Maybe we've got different types of use cases. So, we can look at the stroke care pathway. We already do that, but let's bring that program into here. Let's look at the see and treat stuff that we're doing in London, for example, and let's learn from that. And actually, hopefully together as people, it will be as much about knowledge share and seeing what other people are doing throughout the country in their rollout and their mission, actually, to improve patient care, which is a massive stepping stone to the ambition that has been put on the healthcare service around integrated care pathways going forward, and a huge stepping stone to the mission that, the Lord Carter report stated at. And we are already seeing people do things. The rollout of electronic patient records, it's a great stepping stone with there. But to make that more reliable, to fully interoperate across everything that you need to do, and to get people connected and using these as tools, operational tools that, are massively supporting patient care. We're a long way from there, but I think those projects that already exist combined with this project, I feel, this project is almost a bit like a glue, something that can really bring some of those exciting things that are already happening together, and start to really change. I mean, one of the biggest things we get all the time, and it is, I know it's the area of business that we're in, but we're doing this, but how do I maintain connection? How do you drive from London to Brighton in an ambulance with a clinician in a hospital in the middle of London who's looking at the patient care records with his team on the ground? You have to transport an intensive care patient. How does he maintain a reliable voice connection or just simple message, let alone some of the other things that we're looking to bring in, such as sensor data, video data going forward, which require greater bandwidth, greater different types of connectivity. So if we can start to bring those things together, the dream of all of the other technologies that even exist that are there to kind of, Visionable's technology, a great example of a video platform for, multidisciplinary teams to get together. But how do we do that? We need to underpin that with a really good ecosystem on board a vehicle or out remote in the field to be able to support whomever that might be going forward. And that's where I think this sits, and it's exciting.
Thank you, Nicola. Are there any questions from the audience? Because if not, I think we are through with time. So it just leaves me to thank you all for coming to this panel session. Thanks for listening. Oh, sorry. Am I doing your job?
You are, Monica.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't get that memo. I'll hand over to Chris Lucas to close for us. Apologies.
And I'll put my BAPCO hat back on. On behalf of British BAPCO, I really do look forward to hearing the updates. And potentially, we're looking about the satellite event up in Newcastle. And there's no pun there, Simon, satellite, Nicola. And potentially next year as well, here in Coventry again. So it's something, the one I think is asked the audience, because I noticed as one of my fire colleagues, because he's laughing at me in the background, just think about the transferable. Yes, we're talking about ambulance, but where is it transferable for the other services as well? So if I could thank Monica and the panel, please. Thank you.
Thank you.